Well, you liked what the Giants did this offseason.
I do.
They're an interesting team going into this year. And Daniel Jones will get a chance to lead the Giants from the very beginning of the season after taking over for Eli Manning last year. And Eli said on Sirius XM NFL Radio yesterday that he thinks Jones will benefit from not having him in the room anymore.
I think it'll be easier this year for him to kind of step up as that leader. Just, last year was probably awkward for him, me being there, me being in meeting rooms, and just kind of the whole dynamic. I think me being gone and him just, he is the quarterback, he's the guy. For him just to have that control and the authority over the receivers and offensive line, I think he's proven to be tough and work hard. He's done all the right things. He has kind of gone in that approach of keeping his head down and not saying more than he has to and working hard and earning the respect from the teammates. And I think now he can elevate that where he's now he's in charge.
It's an interesting perspective. It probably was awkward for Daniel Jones last year.
Sure.
I mean, if you're in a quarterback room and the coach asks the question, who answers first?
The guy with 2 Super Bowls?
Right. So there is something to that. Eli said this will be a hard off season for Daniel Jones because of everything that's happening. He's going to be behind it a little bit, trying to implement a new offense and all of that. But and obviously there's a new head coach there as well. But this is something. There's all these underlying dynamics within teams that we kind of forget about sometimes. I don't think I would have ever thought about what it's like for Daniel Jones to be in the quarterback room or in meetings with Eli Manning, even if he is starting. Who's the leader? Who's really in charge? It's obviously still, in a large way, Eli Manning's team and franchise. So this is a new, fresh start for Daniel Jones and the Giants and an opportunity for him to step up. So the Eagles drafted a quarterback, Jalen Hurts, in the second round this year, but Carson Wentz says he isn't worried about that affecting his position on the team.
I had a feeling there's a chance that we'd want to draft somebody, just given the way our roster is laid out and trying to get younger and stuff. So there's no concern for me. I think the team showed their investment in me, last year. And, I have nothing but confidence and faith in them. And, they have nothing but confidence and faith in me. So, I think it's all just about strengthening that position and this group that we have. For me, it doesn't matter who's in the room with me. I'm the most motivated person in that room. I strongly believe that just because that's how I'm wired.
As much as I didn't like what the Packers did in the draft with the quarterback, I really like what the Eagles did. I like Jalen Hurts to begin with, and I think this is a good situation. And obviously, we know what Carson Wentz's injury history is. So if you're bringing in Jalen Hurts, who's very athletic and, still a little raw, to bring up to be the backup for Carson Wentz, who very well may see some time on the field based off of Wentz's history, this is a good situation. And Carson Wentz should understand that. I mean, obviously, you're competitive and it's your spot and you're the guy and there's, all of those naturally egotistical things going on when you bring in someone else at your position. But you also have to have some self-awareness. This is the way things have gone for Carson Wentz. They gave him his contract. He has his extension. He's safe. We know that it's his team and he's very talented. And I think last year really, at least for me, the way that he carried the team last year with all the injuries that they had.
It was incredible.
He really earned my respect last year. And his body is what it is. We'll see what happens moving forward. But he really showed what he had in him at the end of last year. Finally, Andy Dalton is heading to Dallas to back up Dak Prescott. And he made an appearance on Adam Schefter's podcast to discuss why becoming a Cowboy was the best situation for him right now.
Once I got released, at that point I had to figure out, okay, what's going to be best for me, what's going to be best for my future, and for the next 10 years for me. And so just weighing all the options, I had several options out there, and I had to figure out what was the best situation for me to go into that was going to set me up for this next half of my career. And so, I felt like it was the best opportunity, for this year, and it hopefully set me up for my future. I think this was a big picture plan.
I think Andy Dalton is being very smart with his career. He's obviously still hoping for a starting job next year. He'll be a free agent. He wants to work with Mike McCarthy, who has an excellent track record with quarterbacks, and he already has a home in Dallas. He lives there in the off season, so this was a perfect situation for Andy Dalton.
It really was. It's what you're seeing is Teddy Bridgewater, not the most talented guy, coachable, respectful, focused, gets a job. Andy Dalton on the market for about a day. Again, coachable, respectful, You can bring him into the locker room, gets a job. This, what the NFL's telling you, all the teams are telling you, Marcus Mariota was able to get another job. Nick Foles, able to get another job. If you're focused, you're a good person, you keep your head down, you're not distracted. The NFL community wants to give you a job. That's why I say about Cam. Cam comes off as talented, but sometimes distracted, unfocused, not totally committed. And people say, well, the injury, let's stop there. If Patrick Mahomes couldn't get a physical, you'd still sign Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
The NFL's telling you what they like. They like Teddy Bridgewater, Andy Dalton. If you're a grinder and you come into a room and he's in America and had a unique opportunity in his life to cover Kobe for the LA Times and cover MJ for the Chicago Tribune or Chicago Sun-Times, excuse me. So he's one. I think he may be the only sports writer in America that covered Kobe and Michael, and that was his beat. And he's going to talk about the story between the two. I'm really interested in that. But I saw this story yesterday. If you're a critic of OBJ, and in New York, the media was critical of him. They thought he was into OBJ more than winning. I think he's really talented. Sometimes I think he's high maintenance. I'm not a huge fan of high maintenance people, so I have kind of a confirmation bias against anybody that I think is needy. They just wear me out. Cam Newton wears me out. I probably never gave him a fair shot, but OBJ sometimes same thing. So yesterday he comes out, talks about his body, how it got beaten down last year, and he has struggled with injuries. He's a guy that'll run routes over the middle. He gets clobbered, he gets hurt, he's been injured. It's part of a real story, a real narrative now about him. But he says, this now is my time. This is probably going to be one of my best seasons. I'm bigger, stronger. This is my time. And my first thought is, okay, the critics of OBJ are going to say, oh, it's always your time. It's not our time. It's not us. It's not we. It's not team. It's I, me. Look at my Bentley. Look at my watches. And even his quote now, it's my time. It's actually not. It's Kevin Stefanski's time. It's his time to put in a new system. There's two things here that need to be considered and discussed with OBJ saying it's his time. Number one, Cleveland has, in my opinion, the deepest arsenal outside of maybe the Kansas City Chiefs offensively in the NFL. They got two of everything. So if OBJ thinks he's going to have 95 catches and a dozen touchdowns, he's delusional. He's not going to get those touches. Number two is Kevin Stefanski likes to run the football. Kirk Cousins was 24th in pass attempts. That's with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Cleveland also has two excellent running backs. Kevin Stefanski's also in a division with Baltimore and Pittsburgh's pass rush. He's not going to put Baker Mayfield in the crosshairs 34 times on pass attempts. Cleveland's building a run-first offense. Here's something else. Cleveland brought in an excellent tight end, Austin Hooper from Atlanta. Last year in 13 games, he had 75 catches. Okay, he's an 80 to 85 catch potential tight end. He's a volume tight end. Jarvis Landry, even in the mayhem last year in Cleveland, had like 80, 85 catches. In Miami, it was 90. We suspect he'll get closer to his career average, 90. So Austin Hooper's going to get 75 to 80. Landry's going to get, 85 to 90, 95. And they've got two excellent running backs and a new coach who likes to run the football. If OBJ thinks he's getting a bunch of touches and a bunch of touchdowns, he doesn't. He's off. And happiness is all about expectations. The data tells you this coach runs the football. Austin Hooper is going to be a sponge in the middle of that defense. This is a new offense. And also, I would say this, Cleveland's going to be better. They're not going to be trailing in all their games like last year. If you look at Cleveland's schedule, there's a lot of wins on that schedule. They're not going to be throwing the ball in the fourth quarter in a lot of games. I think Cleveland's going to be a 9-win football team this year. Maybe 10, 9. I think it's a real football team. Just less chaos. But if you lead late in games, Kevin Stefanski is not going to be dropping Baker Mayfield back to pass. So happiness is about expectations. And OBJ may think it's his time, but I think it's Kevin Stefanski's time. And frankly, if you ask me who else's time it was, I'd say Baker Mayfield. He's going to win the coach's approval, or he's gone. And he's not going to win it throwing to OBJ. He's going to win it winning games. And you're going to win games in this league if you have a running game. You got to have some semblance of a running game. This was the first year New England couldn't run the football. It was their worst year in years. Here's Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line